Oh, hello, friends. You wondering how the Arizona Cardinals are going to bounce back from a tough offensive performance? Well, we're going to talk to our guy, Michael Wilson, Johnny Venerable.
Plus, a new report suggests there could be as many as 10 openings in the NFL come January. Is Nick Rallis as good as gone? PHNX Cardinals starts now. Hey, welcome in, friends, to your #1 rated Arizona Cardinal podcast, live from Studio K, presented by your friends, our friends at Circle K. It's PHNX Cardinals here on a football Tuesday. I'm Johnny Venerable, my co-host Brack in Studio K, along with Damon, Dawg, producer extraordinaire, Big Mike Willie will be joining us. Michael Wilson right around the corner to talk his big-time Willie Mays catch. And if the Cardinals can get back on track this weekend at Minnesota, speaking of getting on track, how about getting on track with our friends at Bet365? Download the app today. Use the bonus code PHNX365 when you sign up and find out why, whatever the moment, it is never ordinary with our friends at Bet365. Arizona Cardinals right now with our betting friends, a 3.5-point dog to the 9-2 Minnesota Vikings on the road. I like those odds, Brack.
The 9-2 fraudulent Minnesota Vikings. You know, I had remembered this morning that we were right in the thick of Minnesota Vikings Nation for a month, one magical month of March, as we had our pre-draft discussion. It was you, me, of course, amazing Arizona Cardinals podcast community, and then some new friends from Minnesota that were along for the ride. Just going through it, and we told them who their quarterback was going to be, JJ McCarthy at the time. They didn't believe us. Just looked a little bit different than what we were maybe bracing for. But let's give a big shout out to the entire chat out there. I see a couple cool cats already hitting 20 likes early, but let's get that number up. What do we want to project here for a Tuesday here on PHNX cards for likes?
The primary ask is always 350. That's the bar. If we get to 500, we feel like special boys and girls. And if we get above that, goodness, it was one banger of a time. And I think when we have Michael Wilson on the show, I think that calls for it. It is funny. You bring up the Minnesota Vikings, and it's like, fair or not, like living rent-free in their head for 30 days, living in reality in which they had to talk themselves into giving up multiple ones. For JJ McCarthy, of course, that did not happen, but kudos to them. They're a good team. Do they have a ceiling? Absolutely. And I think the Cardinals are going to be very competitive this weekend, led by their defense, led by Nick Rallis, the Cardinals' second-year standout DC, Brack, who you had a chance to connect with today, along with Drew Petzing. We won't bury the headline there. But Albert Breer was on, I think it was Rich Eisen's show or maybe Dan Patrick. But I heard it, and it's been kind of making the waves that unlike last year when there were just like a handful of openings for head coaches, we'll circle back to a couple years ago when there was double digits. He is predicting, Albert Breer, that there could be up to 10 openings in the NFL, which is almost a third of the league. And we have known for some time, or it's felt like, the hot coordinator the Cardinals were going to bring on with respect to Drew Petzing was going to be Nick Rallis, that he was the heir apparent to JG in Philadelphia. He was courted to come with Gannon to Arizona. And it took about, sample size, about 20 games for Nick Rallis to say, you know what, I put my imprint on this defense. And now we're sitting here in early December, potentially, with the Cardinals having if they have a good performance this weekend, they will have a top 10 scoring defense in the NFL, which is unheard of, given the personnel that's been allocated to this defense. I mean, what are your initial thoughts to this report that there could be this many openings? And do you think Nick Rallis will be a competitive candidate?
I'll answer the back half of that with yes. I think an emphatic yes. I think that he's going to make a great head coach at some point in his career here. It's fortunate and unfortunate that maybe it's ahead of schedule that he's been able to take from a personnel standpoint and deploy it and get the results that he has. Great for the Arizona Cardinals is, as you pointed out, they've given up as far as points against, just the 11th, actually 11th in the NFL. So just right there knocking on the door of the top 10 as far as surrendering the least amount of points in the league. That's unbelievable. And that's given them an opportunity to stay in these games, to fight, to let this offense that's been struggling at times find its way, where Rallis's group played like you thought they would just based on who they had on paper. This season would have been lost a long time ago. I mean, what he was able to do to jumpstart this thing after the first 4 games, like, he deserves a whole lot of credit. Like, you hope maybe he can continue to fly under the radar selfishly because you're a Cardinals fan, but I don't think that that's possible just given what he's been able to do. I mean, Aaron Glenn was getting looks for what he did in Detroit, and that didn't go unnoticed. Like, there are smart decision makers in the front offices of the NFL organizations. There's a lot of bad ones too, but it's tough to keep somebody as talented as Nick Rallis under wraps for too long.
Aaron Glenn, by the way, interviewed for the Arizona Cardinals head coaching position before the Gannons inevitably ended up with Jonathan Gannon. And we broke that down on our show. And the biggest indictment of Aaron Glenn, the defense wasn't very good in Detroit. Like, it had ended the year on a positive note. They were 9-8 at the time, Brock. But like, there was nothing tangible that you could say, like, statistically, like, oh my goodness, this guy, we feel like we're getting a diamond in the rough here. And he probably is going to get a job, and kudos to him. With Nick Rallis, I think it's even more impressive. There was no Aiden Hutchinson on this defense, right? There's no impact front 7 players. And like, I love Budda Baker as much as anybody else, but he's a known commodity. He plays safety. He's 28 years old. Like, anytime that you can achieve this level of success, and every week everybody's saying the same thing, I don't know how they're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
How are they doing it? Schematically, coaching, right? And you could say, well, does Jonathan Gannon, he's got his fingerprints all over it. And that may be true to some extent. But if you remember, JG, the minute he got here, said, I'm not calling the defense. I'm not getting my hands dirty. I'm going to empower my coordinators, right? And Nick Rallis is the benefactor of that. Just like Drew Petzing. When Drew Petzing has a hot month, and the Cardinals are 4-0, we will praise him on this show. When he lays an egg at Seattle and the offense can only get 6 points, and Kyler Murray doesn't play well, and Marvin, then he's got to own that. James Conner, 7 carries for 8 yards. But when you start talking about going throughout the course of the season and allowing a single touchdown in like 3.5, 4 games, that's an unbelievable statistic that I saw a lot of people in my Twitter mentions today saying, oh, you know what? It's an offensive league, but get out of here with that. Like, the league is going back to, and it should always be this way, leaders of men, right?
Yeah.
If you're a great offensive coach, awesome. Can you lead people? Ask Cliff Kingsbury that right now. Speaking of that, he's got a defensive head coach, Dan Quinn, is in the playoff picture right now. Jonathan Gannon, playoff picture. D'Amico Ryan's looking at back-to-back playoff appearances. Defensive guys. Mike McDonald that just beat the Cardinals this weekend. So Nick Rallis, I'm not sure if it's going to happen this year, and I hope for the Cardinal fans it doesn't. We want good things for Nick. But like, I will be shocked within the next 18 to 24 months you and I aren't doing an emergency pod bidding bon voyage to the Cardinals' young hotshot DC.
Yeah, I mean, I think his name's going to certainly pop up in the on the insiders' Twitter timeline, the rap sheets, the Schefters of the world, that he's going to get at least an interview. I mean, you look around the league, and as you mentioned, like the offensive minded guy that's been debunked, as you pointed out. Like, you look across the standings, and many, if not the majority of teams that are leading their respective divisions are led by defensive minded head coaches. And it doesn't really come down to it, because you have to be that leader, that master motivator. You have to be that master delegator to be able to, find the right offensive mind and put them in a position to be successful. It's not going to matter, what your background is. And I think the leadership qualities for Nick Rallis are on display on a daily basis around the facility. And if you just have one conversation with him, you realize that this guy's destined for bigger things than just being a top coordinator on an NFL team. He was 29 years old when the Cardinals hired him. He's 31 years old now. And, he's a guy that I think if it's not this off season, it's going to be very soon afterwards, because you're going to find like the Cardinals are going to match up the personnel with the coaching mind, and it's going to put him in a very strong position to do it. And like people who are kind of scoffing at this, like once you get deep into the coaching carousel and once the hot names, the Vrabels of the world are gone, teams are going to go with what the trends are. And the trends are dating back to 2017, find that not program builder, but that organizational builder that's young, doesn't have to have a whole lot of experience, but can command a locker room. And I think that Nick Rallis fits a lot of that criteria.
Anytime you're the youngest defensive or offensive coordinator in the NFL, which he is, I think he's 31, 32 years old, the youngest coordinator in the NFL, and you're succeeding, I don't care if you're, coaching special teams. It doesn't matter. You're going to get looks. People look at you as a wonderkind. Look at Sean McVay once upon a time. Like, it doesn't matter what side of the ball you're at. If you're the top of your class, whatever you're studying, you're elite at that skill set if you're 16 years old, right? And that's the equivalent of what Nick Rallis is doing right now. And Bo, you mentioned it. Like, we're going to get the Vrabels, right? They're going to get a job. Ben Johnson's going to get a job. But what about potentially the other 6, 7, 8 teams? Let's go to our chart. Damon, Dawg, the vacancy chart, which we have to dust off. Thank goodness this is not a reality for Cardinal fans. We had this up once upon a time about 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago. But right now it looks like this. It's a done deal. The Jets and the Saints fired their head coaches in season. They will have a new head coach. Trending that way, Chicago, I don't care what, old man River says on a radio station for the Dallas Cowboys, Mike McCarthy gone. Jacksonville could have fired Doug Peterson weeks ago. They didn't. I guess they're waiting to the end of the year, and everybody should be fired in New York, and it plans to be that way. And then lastly, the sleepers. I've never been a Zach Taylor guy. That team continues to underachieve. We'll see what happens to Stefanski, who's a good coach, but they're not any good. Raiders, Antonio Pierce could be one and done with Brady in the fold. And then lastly, New England, their coach, I don't know what's going on with that situation, but it bears monitoring that it's not a guarantee that staff returns as well. So you look at this. This is the 10 that Albert Breer was alluding to, and I could definitely, if there's 10 openings, I think he at least gets an interview.
I don't think there's any doubt that there's at least through the trending that way squad, and that's 6.
Yeah.
And once you get past, I'd say the top 3, or what's perceived or the consensus top 3 head coaching candidates, then it comes down to kind of the whatever the acquired tastes is of the organization and which direction they're looking to go. Chicago, they are tough to kind of forecast, right? Like they'll just try to make and pivot and overcorrect the previous direction. Like they did it with Nagy to Eberflus, and they'll probably do it from Eberflus to a Nagy type. So maybe you can count them out as far as Venerable type. And do we want to give Dallas Cowboys enough credit to think that they would understand that Nick Rallis is a guy? I mean, his defense made enough plays against them early last season that maybe somebody was paying attention in that upset victory for the Cardinals at State Farm Stadium. But yeah, I mean, I see this like he should be a candidate for the Saints job. That would be a good, where they're just completely looking for a top to bottom, overhaul. And then, I hope he doesn't have to go to the Giants. I don't want that for Nick Rallis to go to the Giants organization or the Jets.
Yeah. I don't want it for anybody. I want to enjoy Nick Rallis selfishly here for indefinitely. Anytime you take, these spare parts defensively, with all due respect, and you don't have a premier pass rusher and you're getting these they allowed 10 points and they lost this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't it say everything about the state of what he's been able to do? And I expect a very good performance against the Vikings this weekend. But we're going to hear from Drew Petzing, Nick Rallis a little bit later in the show. But just around the corner, we've got Michael Wilson, wide receiver for our precious Redbirds. Yeah, go ahead, Bo.
Do we want to sneak in maybe who could be a successor for Nick Rallis potentially?
You want me to tell you who I believe it would be?
Yeah.
So the Cardinals would prefer to do internal promotions, right? Mm-hmm. For both Drew Petzing and for Nick Rallis. And we're told on this show that if Petzing ever left, probably be the passing game coordinator. And if Rallis ever left, probably looking at the defensive backs coach.
Okay. Are we talking like maybe Patrick Toney, or I don't know. I think there's some external guys that you can't overlook. One, we mentioned him, Matt Eberflus, very good DC during his time in Indy, a mentor of Jonathan Gannon's, runs some similar things to that Rallis does. I know it's not a name that people want to hear right now, but I don't think you could. I think he'd be absolutely in the conversation, and I think a guy. It might even get worse. I might get crushed, roasted even more. A guy like that's working in San Francisco and Brandon Staley.
Here's the difference with what you're preaching, because I don't disagree that like those are JG's boys and he likes them as people, but we knew like they had some preliminary. It was floated around. They were going to talk to Mike Zimmer when JG got the job. There was a big rumor that Mike Zimmer was going to join the staff as like a quality control DC assistant head coach, and that never came to fruition. If you had to fire Nick Rallis or Drew Petzing, I think you go external. I think that makes a lot of sense. Let's say the defense was atrocious and they had to get Matt Eberflus. That would make sense. But when you're talking about losing because of excellence, I think Gannon would instead prefer to go the internal promotion, keep people in-house, reward guys who work hard instead of bringing in an external candidate. And then if it doesn't work out, then you pivot. But I would be surprised if they lost a coordinator to a head coaching job. I feel pretty confident you could take it to the bank. You guys can clip this. They'll promote from within. It's just not his style. I think he likes having a young staff. You think if he wanted a bunch of old timers on the staff, like he would have hired those guys.
He's an old timer. I mean, they're not exactly.
Well, Eberflus was like one of his mentors. Staley's his own category of dumpster fire. And then obviously Mike Zimmer. But like, I think like they're going to promote from within. I think everybody should be prepared for that. That's not an opinion, by the way. That's what will happen. Per this podcast, per this fanboy podcast.
I don't think you can discount Eberflus. I really don't.
Get out of here with Flus boy. Get him out of here. Listen, I think he's a great defensive mind.
Yeah.
They would promote from within. You can throw eggs at me if I'm wrong.
Plant my flag.
I'm not wrong. I'm very right. Everybody. No one's ever been more right or more humble than me. We're going to talk to Michael Wilson about Thanksgiving. We're also going to ask him point blank, is this a run first offense? If so, why is that? That's coming up next on PHNX Cardinals. But first, I'll tell you what's coming up. A matchup this Sunday. Minnesota hosting Arizona. Bo's going to be there. That'll be interesting. Will this line shift because Bo's going to the game? We'll have to monitor it. Bet365, never ordinary. Use the bonus code PHNX365 when you sign up. 90 million users worldwide across the premier betting site. NBA, NFL, NHL, Major League Baseball, and more. And again, it's not just the major players. How about 78 different sports? You can be on it all night. I have been. It's great. New customers can bet just $5, get $150 in bonus bets with just a $10 deposit, but you got to use the bonus code PHNX365 when you sign up. Again, every single day, they're doing power boosts to boost up the odds. 10,000 boosts a month? Hello? It's our customers exclusively for PHNX bets and boosts. Yes, did I go over 3 last week? Yes. Will I be better this week? Who knows? But Bo's going to do the bets this week for PHNX bets, but it's also with Bet365. Download the app, bonus code PHNX365 when you sign up. Find out whatever the moment. It's never ordinary with Bet365. You got to be 21 years and older. Physically located here in AZ. If you were someone you know has a gambling problem, wants help, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. Text NEXT STEP to 53342 or visit problemgambling.az.gov, Bo, for more info.
Before I hit the road to Minneapolis to take in this game on Sunday, I am going to stop by my friends over at Sanderson Ford and take a very real look and get myself into a brand new Ford F-150 XLT because the deals, they're hot right now. You got to check them out. It's their Thank You Black Friday sales event that's going on. They're ending December 2nd. Got to tap into it. I mean, this Ford F-150 XLT 4-wheel drive, it is beautiful. right now, and you can get 3.9% APR financing on it. Wi-Fi hotspot, you got the heated seats, you got the remote start, you got the Apple CarPlay, you got the blind spot sensor, forward collision warning, Bluetooth, GPS, keyless entry, adaptive cruise control, satellite radio. Do you need anything more than all of that? Just look at all the benefits of what you could get right there just in one vehicle. And they've got 900 new and used cars on their lot right now, 65 glorious acres. Check them out for yourself. You'll love them because they thrive on the no hassle, no pressure, no nonsense sales approach. Go right now and get in, and you'll get an additional $1,000 Amazon gift card on a Bronco, Mach-E, Lightning, F-150 Expedition on their Black Friday, Saturday through Monday. Don't miss Sanderson Ford Black Friday thank you sale. All offers, as I said, expire on December 2nd.
I'll tell you what expires after this week, the hot sales we got going on with the PHNX All-City merchandise locker. And there's an exclusive deal going on right now. If you are a diehard, up to 75% off, 30% off the entire store at store.allcitynetwork.com. It's our diehard early access. You got to get it now. Become a diehard at gophnx.com. You'll get a free piece of merch, like this phenomenal PHNX Cardinals t-shirt. Then on top of it, it's like, okay, I got my free shirt. I'm going to go in and dabble, right? Of course, you get access to the exclusive member Discord. You get access to the plethora of our premium written content, including our guy, Craig Morgan. And then, of course, dabble on Black Friday, up to 75% off early access, 30% off the entire store. Some of the best gear we've ever done. You're talking about like, you start stacking deals and discounts, man, you're going to remake your wardrobe for pennies on the dollar. It's not just the gear you see here. It's all that and more exclusive. We got State 48 gear. We got PHNX gear. We got PHNX Cardinals, Southwest buys, whatever you want. Get it now. Go phnx.com, store.allcitynetwork.com, 75% off. Get it now. Michael Wilson, Arizona Cardinal wide receiver, joins the show. Big Mike, it's been a hot minute since we spoke to you. You've had a 4-game winning streak up until this weekend where you did take the L against Seattle. It's funny, though, we talk about it. Like, we're excited about this team, but, like, Seattle's a real team. Like, you go up there, it's a hostile environment. There's inclement weather, right? I think a lot of people just assume, like, oh, yeah, they'll take care of business. I mean, these divisional games, these are competitive, right? And Seattle, they've got real personnel defensively.
Yeah. They are a good football team. Honestly, like, they truthfully were better in person than I thought they were going to be. They played with a lot of energy, a lot of effort. Their motor was great. But I think that just goes to show, like, once you get in late November and December, the margin for error gets so much harder, and it gets harder to win. Because every game from here now is pretty much a playoff game, or treated as such, especially when you're playing teams that are in the race for the playoffs, trying to control the division. But I think they did a great job of showing up, ready to play. And yeah, we got outplayed, we got out executed. But the good thing is, we play them in 2 weeks. So I think our team is definitely going to show up a lot better than we did for that game.
So what's the mindset now of the offense? There were opportunities, you had a touchdown call back due to a holding penalty. Marv had that real near miss where his second foot hits the pylon. It wasn't good enough for them to change that on replay. So 2 touchdowns, take it off the board for you guys. You held the 2 field goals. Where's the offense right now? You guys staying confident that you're going to get right back on track here in week 13 against the Vikings?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think we've lost confidence, and we shouldn't. I mean, we put up 4 good games of offense, and we got it done in the run game. We ran the ball to win some games. We threw the ball to win some games. So we know in our mind, and there's evidence that we can win the game in a multitude of ways. I think we just didn't do a good enough job of executing, and it was also difficult in that game to get in rhythm. I feel like we were too much behind the sticks in 3rd and 11 plus situations, which is hard to create drives and continue drives when you're behind the sticks. Little details like the thing with the Marv's catch not being called a touchdown, my touchdown getting called back, some ticky-tack holding penalties being called. It just sort of wasn't our day. And sometimes, Sundays go like that. I think the interesting and intriguing part about all of it is we're still in the game as poorly as we played, which goes to show, like, on a better day when our offense is clicking, that score is going to look a lot differently. But definitely haven't lost a lick of confidence as we shouldn't have either, because I think we are an explosive and diverse offense. And, yeah, we learned from the tape, and I think we'll be much better going forward.
Mike, I want to ask you a question. You be as transparent as you can be with this, but I think a lot of fans see the personnel in this offense, specifically at wide receiver, yourself, Trey, Michael, Greg, or Marvin, I should say. And then, of course, Kyler Murray, who he's been MVP caliber player, throwing a bunch of touchdowns. And then they look at the product this year, and specifically under offensive coordinator Drew Petzing, and they think to themselves, well, this is a run-first team. Like, is that preached to you guys in the locker room? Like, yeah, I know we want to throw the ball. I know we can throw the ball, specifically like vertically, but our identity is running the football.
I wouldn't say that that's preached, but I think that that's what Drew Petzing wants to do, and I think that's a good thing. Like, if you're able to run the football and control the line of scrimmage, that makes it easier to win the time of possession, which helps you win games because it keeps the defense off the field, and helps you control the clock. What it also does is open up the passing game. I think, honestly, our best games offensively are when our running game is clicking. And I don't see an issue with that. I think when we're running the ball, we're way more of an effective team. And honestly, the teams that are, the top 10 teams in the NFL, they all have a good run game. Detroit, right? Like, their run and pass game marries up perfectly. Kansas City's able to run the ball. Like, all the best teams in the league run the ball extremely well. And I don't see that as a negative. I see it as a positive because everyone in the building is committed to running the ball. And I think in the NFL, especially late in the season, like, you need to run the ball to win games. And like I said, like, the games that we've won and have destroyed teams is because we've been running the ball down their throat. And so, I think it's a great offensive identity. And I think you look at some of the best teams in the NFL, they all do a terrific job of running the football.
It's far too often after a loss, people want to point to the quarterback and the offensive coordinator. And we just talked about Drew Petzing a little bit. We talked about the offensive identity. How can you explain it maybe to even to the fan base as far as just Petzing? Like, everybody's clamoring for, they don't see enough of a presence from a downfield passing game. How can you explain it to the fan that's sitting there and wanting to roast Drew Petzing after maybe a down performance throwing the ball?
Yeah, I think that's, narratives change so quickly in the NFL, and people forget that we just won 4 games straight. And, you said that it's a double-edged sword. When you win a game, who gets the most praise? It's the quarterback, the head coach, offensive and defensive coordinator. When you lose games, those same 4 positions or same 4 roles or same 3 roles, whatever, they all get the most flack or the most heat as well. I would say, look, like, we're sitting in a good spot. We're 6-5. We're a game behind controlling the division. We're in a way better spot than we were this time last year. This time last year, I think we were 2-9. And this is only, Drew's second year calling plays. He's a mastermind, and he's extremely analytical, puts in a lot of work. Like, if you were to talk football with him, he knows everything. He's coached every single position at the highest level. And I do think I know he is a great coordinator and has a great understanding of guys' strengths and weaknesses and putting together, a great game plan to highlight guys' special abilities. The big plays, we're able to make them. We have made them. But I think the most important thing is like I said, he's been around great players. He's been around great offenses, been a part of great organizations that have won big games. Like, he knows what it takes and how to win games. And so I see a lot of people saying, oh, we need to throw the ball more. We need to do this more. We need to do that more. We're 6-5. We won 4 straight. We have a great offense, and we're going to continue to win games. Like, none of this is on him in any way, shape, or form. And as a player, it's frustrating that so many people get up or down on just off one game. Like, if we throw for 300 yards next game, then what are people going to say, right? Like, Kyler was he had 22 of 24 the last game, right? Like, it's the same coordinator, it's the same quarterback. It's just the NFL. It's hard to win it's hard to win in the NFL. You're not going to see 350 yards every single week. The good thing is our offense is diverse in a multitude of ways, and we can beat you running the ball, throwing the ball, however we need, which is good.
It's also hard to win on the road, right?
For sure.
Like that environment, Seattle's environment's a tough place to win.
Yeah. And they're a good football team too.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're a really good football team.
Cardinals play the Seahawks again in 2 weeks. We'll hopefully chat after that W here in State Farm Stadium. Trey McBride, I feel like we talk to you about him every time you come on because since last time we spoke, he does like some crazy stuff. You know, he's jumping over players. He's throwing Sauce Gardner to the ground, you know, like a grade schooler, like somebody my height. Like it's unbelievable. And, you know, you guys came up together in this program, and now he's thought of as one of, if not the best tight ends in the NFL. Like what makes him elite? Because he's an elite player now.
He is an elite player. He's been an elite player since last year. I think now he just has way more opportunities to showcase his abilities and his skill set. Like, it's crazy. You talk about being an elite player. You know, someone's elite when they go for 130 something yards. I think he had on 12 catches. And I was shocked to see that he did that because it was the most casual, I feel like, 130-yard game I've ever experienced in my life. But yeah, what makes him elite is he doesn't have a weakness in his game. He can block, he can catch. His ball skills are incredible. He's got great yard after catch ability. And on top of that, he's a great teammate and great person. So I would definitely label him as a top 3 tight end in the NFL, and I wouldn't be surprised if he earns all Pro Bowl honors because he really is lights out right now. It's been one of the brightest spots of our team this year for sure.
When he's that active and he's coming back to the huddle after another catch, I mean, double-digit catches to get to 133 yards.
I had no idea that he had. Like, when I was looking at the stat sheet after the game, I was like, "Holy cow!" I went up to him. I was like, "Bro, I didn't even realize you had 130 yards." Like, that was the.
But he's not letting people know.
130-yard game I've ever seen in my life.
He said before, like when he's juiced up like that, he's even said he's kind of geeking like to his teammates. You didn't notice just based off of how he was behaving, or was he just
because like I said, I feel like that game was so weird. It was hard for anyone to get in the flow and the rhythm, and he wasn't as geeked this game as he was maybe against Miami or the Jets and whatnot. But that was incredible how he had that stat line. I didn't realize that's the making of when you know someone's great is when you start becoming numb to their performances.
Michael, I feel like people assume just because of the collection of talent, like this is an offensive team, and I think we're still conditioned to believe that because of the quarterback and the skill players. But man, did this defense kind of take its lumps in the offseason with like preseason rankings, and you look up now and Cardinal defense is 11th in points per game allowed at like just under 22 or something around that vicinity. Like
on the season or just
on the season. The defense as a whole has given up, I think, 1 touchdown in the last like 4 games. It's unbelievable. What makes this defense hum with not a lot of household names? Like, you know, the players that came in with you, the Garrett Williams of the world, but like to you, like, what do you see in practice that you believe is seamlessly translating to the field right now?
Yeah, it goes into coaching and having players that are dialed into the details. I think JG and Nick Rallis, or Coach Rallis, do a great job of humming on the details, the little details that I don't think other teams are as on point as with us, and they can make up for a lot of things. But we also do have I know we don't have a bunch of household names that fans would like to see on the defensive roster, but our guys are as good as anyone in the league. And obviously you don't become, you guys said the 11th best defense in the league off having, nobodies out there. Like, we have really, really good players led by Budda Baker, guys like Kaiser White, guys like Garrett Williams and Mac Wilson. Sean Murphy Bunnings played a lot of football, young guys like Max. And I think it just goes to show everyone's committed to the process and committed to the details, because like the NFL, there's the margin between like a great player and a good player is not a lot. Like, if you can make up so much for talent if you're just on it all the time with those small details. I think that's what our team and our defense does a great job offensively too, is just being on the little details. It'll make up the disparity of talent or what have you, if you're just on it, on the details.
Seen Budda Baker play a lot of football. I don't know if I can remember him playing at this high level. I mean, he's played.
Yeah.
He's had a legendary career. I mean, He's unbelievable what he's doing, especially with them blitzing him as much as they have and him having as much success and getting him as much pressure. It's really impressive to watch. I guess before we get maybe to your Thanksgiving spread question here, but what was there any messaging, I guess, from the leaders, especially on the offensive side of the football after that game on Sunday that maybe kind of was said and is putting you guys in a position where you feel like you're going to go to work on Wednesday with a right mindset?
Yeah, I think honestly nothing changes whether we that's been the mindset is we just won 4 games. Confidence was as high as ever, and still is high as ever. But after a loss like that, does our confidence change? That's the question that JG presented to our team. Mm-hmm. And the answer is no, it doesn't. Our week this week would look exactly the same whether we would beat them by 30 points. Nothing changes. I think what it does do is when you don't get the result you want, intrinsically, we all have this thing. If you're wired the right way, you're going to be a little more salty and maybe do a little bit extra, be a little more intentional and deliberate throughout the week to ensure that result is not going to happen again. So I think it'll just light a little fire under us. And I think these next 2 weeks are big, going to play on the road against a really good team in Minnesota and then come back and play Seattle the following week. So I think everyone's up for the task. We know these next 2 weeks are critical for our success as a team, looking at the big picture.
It's just good to be talking about meaningful football this time of year for Arizona Cardinal fans. But let's get gross on the podcast. Let's talk about Thanksgiving dishes. My co-host here, staunchly committed to the green bean casserole, which I cannot believe. That's the hottest of hot takes. We're trying something new at the Venerable household, Mike, this year. I feel like you'd be proud of me. We're going gluten-free with our Thanksgiving spread this year. Okay. So, it's a lifestyle change, as Damon would attest to, but we're committed to it. What's your hierarchy right now, your Thanksgiving dish hierarchy?
Truthfully, I think the thing that I love to eat the most are the candy yams. The candy yams are my favorite, and that stuffing and ham. Those, if I have those 3 things on Thanksgiving, I'm good. The problem is when you play a game a couple days later, I don't think I can indulge myself too much because I don't want to be too heavy playing in the game. I'm gonna have to probably limit myself to a plate and a half. I can't go crazy. I don't want to be too heavy and too slow and lethargic on Sunday.
I'll say it for you. The grossest thing on Thanksgiving is the Cowboys-Giants game. I think that's the grossest thing anybody's going to see come Thursday. But I'm with you on that. And the fact that my co-host has me going to war for green bean casserole is a little disingenuous.
That is good. That's a good dish. Yeah, that is a good dish.
It's just good. I'm not going to say it's the best, but it's good.
Yeah.
Bo, you actually bring up a good point. Since we have Mike here, we need to ask him. So there was a real possibility the Cardinals-Vikings game was going to get flexed, right, to Monday Night Football, and you guys had heard that. Yeah. How do you feel about we got to watch the Browns and take on Bo Nix and the Broncos? You guys were snubbed. You don't have to say you were snubbed, but that's a joke, right? You guys should be playing on Monday Night Football.
We would love to play on Monday Night Football, but that's obviously out of our control. But it would have been cool to be flexed to Monday night and play a really good football team on Monday night and have a chance to sort of introduce ourselves to the football world of how good of a football team we are, because the Monday night game we did have, that was a doubleheader. So there wasn't as many eyes that were focused strictly on the Cardinals that week. But I guess a little disappointed about it, but it's out of our control.
There's still time. Week 17, week 18, could be some prime time in the future. For Mike Willie Mays with that over-the-shoulder catch. Unbelievable play there for the Arizona Cardinals in such a clutch situation. Looking forward to this game on Sunday, no matter when it is. You guys kick off there noon Central Time. Mike Wilson, of course, friend of the show. He's been joining us all season. Thanks, man. Have a good Thanksgiving.
Yeah, thank you, guys. Appreciate the time.
Michael Wilson fired up to welcome him back all season long. We got more from Drew Petzing, Nick Rallis, plus your super chats right around the corner. Mike Willie, money, especially in the red zone. How about Desert Financial Credit Union helping to save you money, helping to teach you about how to best spend your money, invest? That's because Desert Financial is the official credit union of the Arizona Cardinals, PHNX Sports, and the Venerable household. They'll hook you up like they did for me with their financial experts who are committed to their members and their community. And it's not a one-off transaction, friends. It's not a checking account that you just forget about. This is an investment of time and money and acumen with real-life people helping to achieve your financial goals and dreams. They've got mortgages, loans, credit cards, investment options, and more. Plus, if you're an Arizona sports fan like we are, there's no better place to do your banking than at Desert Financial Credit Union. It's the only place you can show your team spirit every time you make a purchase with the exclusive debit cards branded with, I don't know, the Arizona Cardinal Redbird, rep the Red Sea with the Arizona Cardinal Visa debit. You can see it below. They got a couple different selections now. I'm fired up about that helmet. Show your team spirit right now. Open up a free checking account online. Get an Arizona Cardinal Visa debit card. Go to desertfinancial.com/Cardinals, Bo, to get started.
Talking about one thing that Johnny actually uses to something I actually use that I love. If you don't have Verizon as your service provider, what the hell are you doing? I mean, you need to switch to Verizon right now. 'Tis the season, actually, to switch to Verizon, because right now you can get $200 Verizon gift card when you switch and purchase a select phone on select unlimited plans. Start the holidays off right with a great network. Use the gift card and start checking other great tech gifts off your list, like smartwatches, tablets, headphones, and more. Also be on the lookout very soon for ticket giveaways to Suns games, courtesy of Verizon for the holiday season. Switch now. Get that $200 gift card only at Verizon. I'm looking at my phone right now. Downtown Phoenix, Concrete Jungle, right? You got full bars right now, thanks to my friends at Verizon. I never have to worry about getting a text, a tweet out, a phone call out with my friends over at Verizon, and it pays to be a Verizon service, have them as their service provider. That $200 gift card, $200 Verizon gift card, e-gift card sent within 8 weeks, requires the device payment purchase, minimum retail price of $799.99. Port in with some new smartphone line on postpaid, unlimited plus, and unlimited ultimate plan required.
Cardinal fans, we're taking an L this week, but we will rally. I'm not sure anybody can be down worse than the San Francisco 49ers right now. So this is a hot rumor on the Twitter streets, Bo, and I felt like this was worth bringing up.
Yeah.
Daniel Jones is supposed to announce his new team tomorrow, and the tea leaves are blowing to one Santa Clara and potentially the San Francisco 49ers. So Danny Dimes with the soon-to-be 5-7 San Francisco 49ers. The jokes, the headlines, they write themselves.
Help is on the way, San Francisco. That's great. I mean, you got their Cardinals' upcoming opponent looking around. Kevin O'Connell saying he likes Danny Dimes and Shanahan and everybody being very complimentary of the former 2019 top 10 pick. But at the end of the day, he's a terrible football player. And if he goes to one of your rivals, that's a good thing.
What will they do with Josh Dobbs? Josh Dobbs might need to be cut, and then a reunion could happen. The real reunion could be happening with the Arizona Cardinals and the Dobb father. That's a pretty big indictment of the Dobb father.
The Dobb father, yeah, he didn't. They went to Brandon Allen last week and didn't even think to put him in when they were just getting the doors blown off, which was amazing to watch. I mean, you got Josh Dobbs getting more run in TV commercials than he is at actually football field as the backup quarterback or whatever. Isn't it crazy? Have you seen those commercials?
They're not great. I don't really.
You've got the Cardinals quarterback room.
Yeah, Colt McCoy,
Dobbs, and Josh Dobbs from the 2023 season.
We lived some kind of fresh hell last year, didn't we? I mean, it's a season for the ages. We're like, you and I were like, is this game on Sunday going to be watchable? Can we consume it? Are there going to be enough things to talk about? Yeah. So I know we're taking it on the chin this week, but guys, get the smelling salts out. That was fresh hell last year.
Yeah.
It was awful.
Somebody asked on social, and it was one of those tweets that got a little run. It was like, what does the Tyson Jake Paul fight remind you of? I'm like, well, it reminds me of the Cardinals quarterback competition of 2023, Clayton Tune versus Mike Tyson. It was Clayton Tune versus Colt McCoy. It was like the over-the-hill guy versus the young guy that is still not as good at his craft as you need him to be.
We were in post-game shows in segment 2, and we were being like, here's the draft order update. That was like week 5 last year.
Tankathon.
We had Tank Tuesdays. We were wearing tank tops every Tuesday.
We bought
to start the
mine
season.
bald caps. My wife and my kids are like, "What is wrong with you?" And I'm like, "Lots of things are wrong."
I'm committed to the bit.
What's wrong with Drew Petzing's offense, Bo? You asked him. The media asked him. Here's what he had to say.
You know, it's a combination of execution, scheme, timing, you know, some things they did on defense. You know, it's a really good group, especially up front. Gave us some problems. So, you know, it's something we're going to get figured out very quickly, but certainly not where we wanted to be on Sunday.
I like Drew. I want to wrap my arms around Drew. And then he lays that stuff on me that we watched on Sunday. It's like, Drew, come on. Now I got to rip you all week. Listen, here's a hot take that's going on. I feel like a lot of people are putting most of that loss on Sunday and the offensive inefficiencies not on Drew Petzing, but Kyler Murray. And while I can admit here that Kyler Murray did not play well, did Kyler Murray give up 5 sacks? Could Kyler Murray not run the football? Like, if the Cardinals offense is humming and Kyler's just turning the ball over left and right and he's completing like 10% of his throws, then we have a big problem. But when the offense can't do anything, you look to the coordinator. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. I mean, and you know, he was asked later in the press conference about like when they take the run away, you know, where do you pivot from there? And he says, well, the ultimate kind of, and I'm paraphrasing, like the worst of all realities when they take away both. And I think Seattle, they did a good job of that, limiting the Arizona Cardinals and what they wanted to do with their on the outside with their receiving game. And the only thing that was really working was the Trey McBride, Kyler Murray connection.
Yeah.
And that's just when you can't draw that up in the red zone or really anything to work. It was just a disastrous performance on that side of the football. You know, and I think there's a lot of people rightfully so giving credit to the Seahawks defense. Like that's what I kind of came away from this game holding on to more so than the stinker of a performance from the Cardinals offense is that I do think that this Seahawks defense is good. It's better than it's statistically shown throughout the season under first year coach. Like I think they've got players on every level. And you know, when you got guys like Witherspoon and Leonard Williams making the plays that they did, that you don't get from, you know, a lot of players in this league, and they're matching what Mike McDonald wants them to do. This was the DC of the top defense in the league last year. So I think that they should be taken seriously going forward.
I won't take them seriously, but I'll take your word for it. Cardinals are going to, I expect Drew to be much better this weekend and next weekend.
Regardless, yeah, you have to, like, your offense needs to be your strength. Like, and I know you've played better, more consistently on the defensive side of the football, but your personnel still says your strength is on that side of the ball. And there's no excuse for being held out of the end zone and just scoring 6 points. Like they have to be ready to play this Sunday, and then especially, you know, a week from Sunday against when the Seahawks come to town.
I mean, barring a defensive collapse that we do not envision, and this is wild to say, if the Cardinals do not win the NFC West, if they're not playing postseason football in January, I think we can all agree it's going to be because the offense underperformed. It's going to be Kyler Murray didn't do enough, the inconsistencies with Drew Petzing, Marvin didn't have the kind of year. Like, I'm okay saying that. I still happen to believe those things will transpire in the next 6 weeks. But, like, given the track record of this defense and knowing that they get to play Carolina and New England and there's some middling offenses, Seattle's offense isn't great. If the Cardinals are sitting back and they're watching the playoffs from home this year, the offense and the personnel and the staff are going to have to look in the mirror, and they're going to have to collectively say, like, we let the team down. Mm-hmm. And that's unfortunate because coming into this year and me, you know, clamoring at the trade deadline in the month of August, like this defense is just going to, it could cost them a playoff spot. Pretty ironic the way the NFL works. Like, no. It's the offense isn't scoring enough points when the defense is balling out.
No, that's a great point. And it gets back to the conversation we were having weeks ago, though. Like, I mean, that conversation absolutely gets uncomfortable and is had throughout the offseason if the offense continues to underproduce. But we were saying that back when they were 2-4, and then they are able to rip off 4 in a row, and the offense operates at a high level. It's going to come down to, you know, play calling and execution and getting back on track after a bad performance. Like, I think it's unrealistic to say, hey, like each and every week, this offense needs to show up and put up points. Like you have seasons like that. We've witnessed them here in the desert. You're seeing it right now, really in Detroit. But like you have to be able to get back on track. And, if it happens to be against, a ball hawking defense this weekend or the defense that just shut you down, you're going to have to do it because that's what it's going to take to win football games and go to where you want to go. And if you don't do it, it's going to be roster changes. It's going to be coaching staff changes.
There's a change to the lineup defensively, we assume, this weekend. That's the debut of Darius Robinson, the 27th overall pick. Here's Nick Rallis on the impact of the big man out of Missouri.
I don't know about curiosity. I'm excited whenever that time comes for him to get back out there. I know he's gonna make an impact. Disruption, versatility, complete game, run and pass rush. So, kind of those three things. It was clear that he's gonna be a good football player.
I'll be shocked because he's playing this weekend if he doesn't have an impact play this weekend, whether it's a tackle for loss, a sack, a batted ball. I don't, outside him getting injured again, which God forbid that happens, and I don't want that for him, obviously. I'd be shocked if we're looking at the end of the day on Sunday, win or lose, and it's like you couldn't feel Darius Robinson's presence. I mean, that's why they waited this long. They didn't want to roll him out there on a defense that was humming. They didn't have to rush it, and kudos to them. They played this exactly right, given the length of his injury and the severity of it, Bo. Like, I think we both would be surprised if 56 isn't making his presence felt in some way, shape, or form.
I mean, he did against the first team offense of the Saints, and that was
took him out.
It was a long time ago, right? He's going to make plays that are going to impact the opposing offense in a negative way. I'm right there with you. That's going to happen with Darius Robinson. And if what we heard about Kyler Murray is he was making his way back to the playing field from his knee injury, that he was wrecking the Cardinals, defense in practice. We're hearing similar things to what Darius Robinson is doing in his first 4 practices back from this calf injury. And I know it's not a franchise quarterback, but it's somebody on the defensive side of the football that can make some noise in several different ways. Like if you heard Rallis there, he feels like he's sound in both the pass and the run game. And that's something I think they've got players that can help in both areas, but not somebody who's pretty sound in both of them.
Your super chat's right around the corner here on PHNX Cardinals. Super chats got me feeling super for a number of different reasons. So fired up, I might go get a Polar Pop for just 79 cents with our friends at Circle K. Holiday season is here at Circle K, and if you're traveling to see loved ones, make sure you got a full tank. And why not save some money while you do it? Join the Inner Circle for free right now. It's a new membership program. All you need to do to get signed up, your email, your phone number, you're good to go. Save 25 cents per gallon on your first 5 fill-ups, 3 cents per gallon every single day. And it doesn't stop there. There are tons of member exclusive deals and discounts. All you got to do is go to the Inner Circle, look under deals, and save yourself some money. Join the Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app. We know our guy Mike Willie, he loves Circle K. You should too. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for more details, Bo.
Looking at Game Time app, and they've got some unbelievable deals right now to check out Cardinals at Seahawks at Cardinals. $85 can get you in the door. You can get tickets for $50 to see the Cardinals host the Patriots. How about the Fiesta Bowl? That's coming up. It's going to be part of the college football quarterfinal. Right now, tickets available on the Game Time app. Dude, I even see a Cardinals playoff game on here. You can get Cardinals playoff tickets on Game Time already. Post Malone with Jelly Roll. Here's a concert that's going to be hot in the Venerable household. Are you going to go see Goo Goo Dolls, Johnny?
That's not. Where's that at? Where's that at?
That's at Arizona Financial Theater, my friend. You can get in the door for $57. That's exciting.
That sounds.
Or you might be front row, maybe in the pit for over $300. But
and I'll give up forever to touch you.
Wow. Download the Game Time app today. Can't wash that song out of your head any longer. It's going to haunt your dreams forever. But Game Time is going to hook you up, and it's going to get you the best deals possible. Any event you're looking for, download the Game Time app today. What time is it? Game time.
What's your favorite Goo Goo Dolls song?
What was that one you just sang?
I think that's Iris, and then there's Broadway.
Yeah.
Broadway is
Name?
dark
I remember
tonight.
Name.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Damon, do you know who the Goo Goo Dolls are?
No, I'm out on this one.
Oh my God. Slide? Oh my goodness.
That's got to be. Is that the number 1 seed for Goo Goo Dolls? Stop. Are you slapping the bass for some goo?
They've been around for a while. I would see the Goo Goo Dolls in a second on Game Time, and that makes me sad that Damon has no idea who they are. You'd probably know the tracks, Damon.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I think wasn't that I can't remember what their album was called, but it was everywhere, brother. Before you were born. Before
after the show, I'll toss on some of the most popular songs they got and see if I recognize them.
That's fair. Let's recognize some super chats here. Everybody drop a like on this video. Big thanks to Michael Wilson for joining us before we belted out some late 90s, early 2000s tracks. Hayden with a super sticker, $1. Thank you so much, Hayden. If you got a question, my guy or gal, put it in the chat. We appreciate the support. We also appreciate Chaz. Bunch of dogs today. $1.99. Happy Thanksgiving, Bo and Damon, to the PHNX crew.
Thank you, Chaz, to you and yours as well. Hope you have some great food come Thursday. Enjoy some of the bad football that's on TV and enjoy the vibes. Hopefully they're immaculate for you. Thank you for the $1.99 super chat. Let's keep it going. Low Dog, more dogs. This one, it's Low Dog, $10. Thank you for the super chat. Please put down the edibles. Rallis isn't anywhere close to becoming head coach. Too many recently fired coaches like Vrabel and Belichick, other coordinators from winning teams will get hired way before him. Winning team like the Cardinals. Cardinals are a winning team.
Belichick, Vrabel,
yeah.
Ben Johnson. That's 3. And if there's 10, you got to fill 7 more spots.
You do.
Like would Nick Rallis take the Jets job?
I hope not.
But like, no offense to Nick Rallis, like if I'm the Jets, if I'm these teams that have minimal options, like of course they're going to be sniffing around like, well, who's a good coordinator? Who's young? Who can build?
If a team is smart, and there's a complete bias here, but they get in on Nick Rallis early rather than way too late.
Right.
Like once they get, a few more top draft picks and these players, D-Rob comes back this week, and Max Melton's developing, and Garrett Williams is a monster in the defensive secondary. Once they add to the defensive trenches, get an edge rusher, like Nick Rallis his stock's going to continue to rise. And you want to be a team like the Rams where people are like, what the hell are you doing? Hiring a 31-year-old, 32-year-old coach, with very little experience. And then, next thing you know, he's running up to a Super Bowl and everybody wants that. They want that blueprint. And you're accepting Cliff Kingsbury as your Sean McVay adjacent, option.
Yeah. Your great value, Sean McVay. Well, let me ask you this. Who is the head coach for the Tennessee Titans? Can you name him?
Yeah, Brian Callahan.
Okay. I couldn't
Tom
pick
Callahan
out in a mob. I couldn't pick out Dave, what's his name, for the Panthers. Like there are hirings every year where people are just like, who is that? Who are these people? And it's because
Canales was the OC for the Bucks like 1 year, wasn't he?
Right. And so it's like, that's my point, is like, it's a combination of under the radar versus like Bill Belichick's not taking any job. Like Mike Vrabel's not taking just any job, right? And I hope Gannon is mentoring. Obviously he is these coordinators and encouraging them. It's got to be the right decision for you and your family. But like, it's 1 of 32, brother. And if you get to the final interviews, I don't think he's leaving now. I'd be surprised if he didn't at least get an interview. Picking spreads, Donnie, 4-9. Go ahead, Bo.
Our friends tuning in on the tube right now. Check it out over at gophnx.com. Our time, we have to bid adieu to you, but not forever. Come on and join us. Gophnx.com. The party continues with Donnie's super chat.
$4.99. Listen, we can be mad at Drew. I'm never mad at Drew. Tape was bad. Wilson and MHJ got boxed by Woolen and Spoon, but it's simple. McDonald out coach Drew, but they'll meet again. I tweeted that after the game. Picking spreads, we're on the same page. Drew Petzing lost the coordinator head coach matchup to Seattle's DC, And then the Cardinals basically gave them 6 points with Kyler Murray's pick six. Like, if Kyler Murray didn't throw that pick six and the Cardinals get like a field goal that drive, I mean, that game could be going to overtime. So I think the elements played a part in it, but the Cardinals have to get back to what they do. Like, I want big explosives, Bo, but this season's going to go south if they can't run the football again.
And they're going up against a tough run defense here in week 12 against the Vikings. And that was one thing I disagreed with Gannon in his press conference yesterday. He called, the 4th and 1, obviously a gotta have it play.
Yeah.
And they look at it different as far as ball security there, because you're forcing the issue there, which I don't disagree with. But the fact that it turned into a pick six and the way your defense was playing, like to throw a moon ball and just to toss it up, I think that should not be considered like when you do take a risk there. Like,
I wonder if
you just can't have that happen.
Are you at the point with this defense where it's like field position obviously makes a huge difference, but like going for it on 4th down, like we talked about it early in the season because it was a must. The defense was struggling. Now it's like, do you play the long game because how well the defense is playing? Because I'm almost conditioned to do that
4th
now.
and 1. I don't think that will ever change. I don't care how well your defense is
But
playing.
they're not super effective doing it. I feel like off and on this year. They can't do a traditional under center QB sneak. And if teams are selling out to stop James Conner, it's tight. But I don't know. I don't have the answer for it. I don't know what to do. But that's why I'm not the head coach of this team. Hayden, I'm in my super sticker. I wanted to say if Byron Murphy gets an INT and celebrates with fraud Kevin O'Connell, I'm going to throw up all over my television. That's well said, Hayden. I'm so glad we got to read that. Byron Murphy, former Cardinal cornerback, who the Cardinals didn't show any interest in re-signing with Monty Austin before he got here. They tried to re-sign Zach Allen. He opted to go to Denver. So I'm sure there's some animosity with B. Murph. And here's what I'll say to Byron Murphy. He was a good player for the Cardinals, not a great one. He was overdrafted considering the other talent that was available. Debo and A.J. Brown, certainly DK Metcalf. And I've seen Marvin Harrison Jr. torch way better corners than Byron Murphy, respectfully. But yes, I don't want that to happen at all.
Was it Byron Murphy or was it Christian Kirk that was celebrating hitting free agency? I couldn't remember. One of them was at the club, and
I think it was Byron Murphy.
It was Byron Murphy. He was excited to get out of town. So I don't know if there was
times are tough. Kirk left. They just made the playoffs, and he got overpaid, and good for him.
Yeah,
Byron Murphy was celebrating free agency, and he got like no money.
He had $8 million, not $8, $8 million.
Here's
easy, baby. $5. Give Rallis a raise. He can pull a Ben Johnson and stay in trying to finish the job. We have a 3 to 4 year window in K1's prime and these rookie contracts.
I thought Jody Ehrler made a good point in a tweet the other day that is this the worst the Cardinals defense is going to be? Sure seems like it. We know definitively, and we've got this they're going to get a big ticket edge rusher this offseason. I think they look to the trade market to do so, but we've heard that. They're going to load up in the draft. They've used 2 of their first 3 first-round picks on offensive players. I think this draft lends itself to defense. So, I think we'd all be – isn't it nuts? We'd all be disappointed if this wasn't a top 10 defense next year. It's unbelievable. And then you've got the elevation of Garrett Williams and Max Melton and Robert Taylor Demerson and Mac Wilson's under contract. Can you bring back Kazir White? And, this defense should only get significantly better next year.
Where are you feeling? What's your feeling on Buddha these days?
I don't like saying this because I think Jalen Thompson, these last 6 games, assuming he plays, is playing for maybe a spot on this roster long term. Because with the way Buddha's playing and then the way Rabbit's playing, I think a lot of people would, that's the recipe. But then Jalen Thompson's on the roster. He's making 8 figures next year. He's one of the highest paid players on the team. They've got to see that return. Everybody wants to have their cake and eat it too and say, let's have 3 safeties next year. They're not going to do that. Somebody's leaving. They're not going to have 3 safeties.
You feel pretty confident in that? I mean,
100%.
If they can get if the price can get right on Buda Baker, who, I was going to say, I think he's making a stronger each week. Buda Baker makes a stronger and stronger case for himself to be back. But obviously the money has to make sense. But Jalen Thompson's under contract through next season at $14 million a year. And then, of course, you got Rabbit Taylor Demerson. I think you would benefit if you can just get Buddha back. Then you just ride. I mean, they were riding a 3 safety look at the end of the last game, and they had like Joey Blunt out there, where it's like instead of Joey Blunt, you got JT, Rabbit, and Buddha.
That's not a position they want to pay. They're going to have to pay Trey McBride generational money, right? And they're going to sign a marquee edge rusher either in free agency or trade for one that is making over conservatively $15 million a year. And they've got other holes to fill. Like I don't think when you're talking about making a Super Bowl run, you could be paying 2 high-priced safeties while maybe your best overall safety from a coverage standpoint makes no money as a 4th rounder. It's just not good economics. So I don't like coming on here and saying X player is going to be traded or cut. Jalen Thompson needs to play well these last 6. We need to see Jalen Thompson from a year ago. He was like their best defensive player, and he had his hands all over ball. I don't know what happened to that. I'm also going to be interested to see how they deploy him, because Taylor Demerson played a hell of a game on Sunday. He had the pass breakup, almost a long completion, DK Metcalf, where, of course, Sean Murphy-Bunting got toasted, and Taylor Demerson had to go clean it up. He had the open field tackle to prevent Kenneth Walker from scoring a touchdown. I mean, this is a touch and go, ebb and flow kind of situation, but I will go on the record. I don't think they'll keep 3 safeties of those 3 safeties. If they lose one, obviously, I think they'll draft another one and just keep the pipeline going.
Yeah. JT going to be back on the practice field tomorrow, according to JG. Let's keep it going. Wrapping it up with the super chats. Our guy, Donnie. Bo's going to AZ versus Minnesota game. Maybe I'll see you. I will be there. I will absolutely will connect here. Out there in Minneapolis, where I saw the lows are reaching the single digits.
You deserve it.
People just choose to live there. Single digit. Low.
If you might have to pop the tops off.
What's that?
Shells off. Sun's out.
Not sure I understand that reference.
No shirt.
Got it. Bo, if you're not doing a stand-up outside the stadium in the frigid cold with your phone, you are not a real reporter.
All right.
No stand-ups inside. You got to do them outside.
Nah, I'm going to do it inside.
There's video somewhere of me at Chicago in December, the first year we did this show, before Bo Brock and Damon Dawg graced us with their presence, and I was outside Chicago freezing my butt off, doing it for the cause. And guess what? The Cardinals won that day on the road. So, yes, it was against Andy Dalton. So some are saying that if you don't do it, then the Cardinals will lose.
Thank you for your service.
I'm not saying it. People are saying it, though.
Not a single soul has said that. Yeah, I encourage you to go check out those old shows. Those are some good ones.
Maybe not. Maybe don't watch those. Maybe just watch from the last 2.5 years, and that's about it. Don't watch those. Those have been scrubbed from the YouTube page. Like this video. Subscribe.
Who has? I want to just ask those in the chat right now. Are there any OG PHNX Cardinals?
Hey,
that were there at the very beginning that are watching right now?
All you have to do is you go to on YouTube, you go to videos or you go to live shows on our feed, and you click which says latest, popular, and oldest. You click oldest, and you can see the OG shows and the OG breakdowns, and a lot of good stuff. A lot of good stuff on there. I mean, we were newbies. We were trying things out. We were throwing stuff at the wall.
You're getting weird.
Now look at us. Look at us now.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, hit that like. I like that one. James Conner, flex on him.
I like this.
Careful, Johnny. He's a hero.
Spider-Man. What a great show do we have tomorrow.
Already connected with Baldy. Baldy's going to join us at the top of the show, right at the very beginning.
It could be one of the most loaded shows of all time. Baldy at the top of the show, maybe a little Kyler Marv action, and then the coup de grace, and I've been waiting all week for this, the Damon Dawg clown coronation, third segment, hold or fold the line. Damon Dawg last week proclaimed that my bet Dallas over Washington was the worst bet he'd ever heard in his life. He pre-made graphics to shame me, and we all know what happened last Sunday. So tomorrow's show, you need to have it bookmarked on your calendar, ring that bell, subscribe to PHNX Sports. Damon gets his medicine tomorrow. I hate doing it.
Damon won, though. Damon,
we don't care about that. No one cares about that. Like when I have to discipline my kids, I don't want to do it, but it's
you hate it. Yeah, this doesn't come easy. I understand that, Johnny. I'll let you know. I'll have my white powdered face paint makeup ready. I'll bring out the big red clown nose. No worries about it. I'll just leave you with this scoreboard.
What were the holder? Obviously, you guys hit. Did I hit?
Didn't you have the Rams? You did not hit
the Rams.
Look at that. Plus 425. That may never be done again.
Was my Rams pick might be one of the worst of the year.
Yeah,
I liked it at the time.
They didn't have it. They were never in that game.
We held with you. We both held with you.
Thank you.
No one held with me.
Didn't. I didn't know they were going to score 2 special teams touchdowns.
I did. I know everything.
It really is a joke.
They were dominating that game. Like they kept missing kicks and stuff. If they would have lost that game, I would have been completely dejected because they had that game in control. We all know what the Cliff offense looks like this year. The offense is terrible. They can't score any touchdowns.
It's disgusting. It was disgusting at Wild Horse Pass the way you were rooting on the Cowboys. It really was.
Right. I want the Cardinals to have Washington could blow their playoff spot.
Ryan, don't do that. It doesn't hurt Johnny.
I am. You guys tell me real quick. How many more games? I want everybody in the chat. Are the Washington Commanders at 7-5 winning? Let's start. Titans at this week at home. Will Levis looks good. At the Saints. Home against the Eagles. Home against the Falcons. At Dallas. I'm going to say they finish 9-8.
Who are they beating of those teams?
They'll slum it up and they'll beat. I think they'll. I don't know. Maybe they're 9. Maybe they're 8-9.
They might miss the playoffs.
I think they'll beat the Cowboys to end the season.
I do too.
They won't beat Philly.
Nope. They won't beat Atlanta.
I think that the Titans are a bad matchup for them. As bad as
100%.
as much as I make fun of the Titans, I think their pass defense is good. You take away Jaden Daniels,
very good
throwing the football. I mean, it could be they should beat the Saints.
At the Saints? I don't know about that, bro.
I agree. I mean, that adds a little wrinkle to it.
This is the end of this year. It's going to feed families. It's going to be so much fun. And we're going to do it all with you here in the chat. But you got to do us a favor. You got to drop a like on this video. Baldy tomorrow, Kyler Marv, Holder Fold the Line. It's the perfect appetizer ahead of Thanksgiving with your loved ones. Some people are asking me, are we going to go live on Thanksgiving? I said, yeah, if you want me to divorce my wife, if you never want to see your boy again, if you want me living out on the streets.
Here's what we have for you Thanksgiving. Here's what you can add to your spread. Michael Wilson breaking down his unbelievable over-the-shoulder catch that we talked to him about. We got a little extra fixins for you on your Thanksgiving that you can have with Michael Wilson. And you can get we'll have a little extra Baldy too. Then we will be live on Friday. I'll be at practice Friday, and Craig Morgan will be at practice on Thursday though. The man is out of control. He'll be there on Thursday. Yeah.
This is a good super chat. Friend of the program, Topic 64, providing some clarity. $4.99. Jalen Thompson's been hurt all year from game 1 until now. Ribs, finger, ankle, knee, never sat out. The ankle, he had no choice but to sit out. You watch him, he looks hurt. He looks compromised because he was the best defensive player they had on their team last year. So, I mean, we spoke to Jonathan Gannon at the Combine about Jalen Thompson, how good of a player he is. I don't know what they'll do. It's a tough decision meant for the GM and the head coach, but Jalen Thompson plays this week. They're better for it, Bo.
Yeah, it looks like 34 will be back out there tomorrow. Ramp up for this big game come Sunday. Can't wait for it. We've got more for you, including tomorrow, as Johnny outlined, at PHNX_Cardinals on Twitter and Instagram for Damon Dawg. Greg Morgan, as I mentioned, our beat writer. Check out his work. Go PHNX.com. Become a diehard. Cash in on those Black Friday early deals you can get right now by becoming a diehard. And for Damon Dawg and myself, I'm Bo Brock. Talk to you on Wednesdays, PHNX Cards.
We all silly like the mayor.